Hey everyone, ready to take a deep dive into prepping for a prosthetist-orthotist job interview?
We're going to cover it all.
Yeah, we've got career guides, sample interview questions, and even some AI tricks from RoleCatcher to help you stand out. Think of this like your personal cheat sheet.
It is. This field is so cool because it blends technology and compassion. You're not just building limbs.
Right.
You're literally giving people back mobility and independence.
It's amazing. And speaking of cool, I was looking through the career guide, and I was surprised that prosthetists-orthotists don't just work with artificial limbs, they also create orthoses.
Yeah.
What exactly are those?
They're devices that support or correct issues with your muscles or bones. So think like braces for scoliosis or splints you might need after an injury.
Got it.
So you're using your skills to help people in all kinds of ways.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's dive into some of these interview questions.
Okay.
The first one is,
All right.
can you describe your experience with prosthetic and orthotic assessment and design?
This is where you really showcase your foundational knowledge. Talk about how you would evaluate a patient's needs.
Okay.
Explain the different types of devices you're familiar with, and highlight your understanding of materials and design principles.
So it's not just about listing things off.
No.
We need to give them
Give examples.
concrete examples.
Yes, for sure. Think back to your clinical rotations or internships. Maybe you had a patient with a unique challenge, or you had to modify a design. Maybe you used a special material for a better fit. Share those stories.
Those are such good points.
Yeah.
Now, what kind of follow-up question could they ask after that?
Maybe something like, tell me about a time you had to work with other healthcare pros on a prosthetic or orthotic case.
Okay.
Because it's a team effort.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this field is super collaborative.
Oh, yeah.
So this is where you can really show off those teamwork skills. How would you answer that?
I would talk about working with physical therapists to make rehab plans or consulting with doctors to make sure the device is safe. It's all about showing you can be a team player and you can communicate well with others.
I like it. Okay, next question. How do you stay up to date with new technologies and advancements in prosthetics and orthotics? I mean, this field is always changing, right?
Absolutely. This is where you show you're dedicated to lifelong learning. So mention journals you read, conferences you go to, online resources. Be specific.
Yeah, don't just say, I read journals.
Yeah.
Give them an example of something you've actually learned and how you've used that knowledge.
Exactly. Maybe you read about a new 3D printing technique for prosthetic sockets and you're excited to try it out.
Ooh, 3D printing. That's super cool. And that actually reminds me of RoleCatcher and how it uses AI, right, to help with this.
Absolutely. So RoleCatcher's AI looks at job descriptions for prosthetist-orthotist roles, and it figures out exactly what skills and technologies they're looking for.
So it's like a cheat sheet for each job.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
It helps you tailor your resume and cover letter to hit those specific requirements. Gives you a real edge.
That's really cool. Okay, back to our interview question. What's a follow-up question they could ask about staying up to date?
They might ask, what's a recent advancement in prosthetics that really excites you? And how do you see yourself using it in your work?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's getting specific.
Yeah.
It's like they really want to see if you're passionate about this field.
They do. So be ready to talk about specific things like robotic prosthetics or those mind-controlled limbs.
Oh, wow.
Explain how those could help patients and how you would actually use them in your practice.
All right. Moving on to question number 3. How do you ensure that your patients are satisfied with their prosthetic or orthotic device? This seems like it's all about patient-centered care.
It is. They want to know that you go beyond just fitting the device.
Right.
You're making sure the patient is comfortable, the device works well, and they're happy with the whole thing.
So it's all about those soft skills,
Yeah.
that empathy and good communication that make someone a great healthcare provider.
Right. Share examples of how you've built strong relationships with patients. Maybe you went above and beyond to make them comfortable, or maybe you made adjustments based on their feedback.
Okay, I like that. And what about a follow-up? What could they ask to dig a little deeper?
Oh, they might ask, tell me about a time you dealt with a dissatisfied patient.
Oh,
How did you approach that?
that's a tough one. They're really trying to see how you handle conflict, how you stay professional when things get a little heated.
Exactly. Explain how you listened to their concerns, addressed the issues, and worked with them to find a solution. The key is showing you can stay calm and focused on making things right.
I like it. Okay, so the next question on our list is, can you describe a time when you had to problem solve a complex prosthetic or orthotic case? This one feels like it's all about showing off those critical thinking skills.
Oh, for sure. They want to hear how you approach challenges, analyze information, and come up with creative solutions.
So what kind of example would really wow them?
Choose a case that shows you can think outside the box. Maybe you had a patient with unusual anatomy, and you had to design a custom device. Or maybe you had to adapt a standard design to use a new technology.
Okay, so be specific.
Specific. Don't forget to walk them through your entire thought process.
Oh, wait.
How you identified the problem, what steps you took, what resources you used.
Then what if we hit any roadblocks along the way?
Oh, tell them. Explain how you overcame them.
Okay,
It shows resilience and a willingness to learn from your mistakes.
I like it. What about a follow-up question for this one?
They might ask, if you faced a similar challenge today, knowing what you know now, would you do anything differently?
Oh, that's tricky.
Yeah.
They're really testing your ability to reflect.
It's a chance to show that you're always learning and growing as a professional.
Right, always evolving.
Yes. You could mention specific skills you've developed or new knowledge you've gained that would change your approach.
Okay, next question. Can you describe your experience working with pediatric patients? I imagine working with kids requires a whole different set of skills.
Oh, it does. This question is all about showing your passion for working with kids and understanding their unique needs.
So it's not just about the technical stuff, it's about connecting with them on their level and making them feel comfortable.
Yeah. Talk about your experience with kids of different ages.
Cool.
How do you adjust your communication style? How do you involve the child and their family in the process?
And I bet this is a perfect opportunity to highlight those soft skills again. Patience, empathy,
Oh, yeah.
a gentle touch.
Absolutely. You're not just fitting a device, you're helping a child adjust to a whole new reality.
That's a great point. Okay, what's a follow-up question they might ask about this?
Maybe something like, how do you address the emotional and psychological needs of a child who's just gotten a prosthetic limb?
Oh, that's a really important question.
It is.
They want to know if you get the full impact this has on a kid's life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is your chance to talk about things like support groups, counseling, and creating a positive and encouraging environment.
This is really making me think about the human side of this field. Okay, we've got to keep moving. Question 6. How do you approach working with patients who have complex medical histories or multiple conditions? That must be pretty common in this field, right?
It is. The interviewer wants to know if you can handle complex cases
Right.
and tailor your approach to each person's needs.
So it's about seeing the whole person, not just the limb or the condition.
Exactly. Share examples of how you've worked with patients who have chronic illnesses or other things that might affect their prosthetic or orthotic needs.
And I bet those key skills,
Yeah.
like critical thinking, problem solving, and collaboration, are super important here.
Absolutely. You need to show you can gather medical information, identify potential complications, and come up with a plan that addresses all of their needs.
What about a follow-up for this one?
They might ask, how do you stay informed about the latest medical advancements and research, especially with these complex cases?
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I want to see if you're dedicated to staying at the forefront of your field.
Exactly. Be ready to discuss specific resources you use to keep up with medical research and how you apply that to your patient's care. Maybe mention a recent study you found interesting or a new treatment approach.
Okay, loving these follow-up questions. They're really making me think. Question 7. Can you describe your experience with prosthetic and orthotic fabrication?
This is all about showing off your hands-on skills.
Okay.
They want to know you're comfortable with different materials and technologies, and you understand the whole process.
Gotcha. So don't just say you've built devices.
Right.
We need to paint a picture.
Yes. Talk about specific fabrication methods you're good at.
Okay.
Have you used traditional techniques like molding and casting, or maybe you've worked with more high-tech stuff like 3D printing or CAD/CAM software?
So the more detail, the better.
Always. Walk them through a specific project where you used those skills. What challenges did you face? How did you solve them? What was the final outcome? The more specific you are, the more they'll believe you.
Okay, that's helpful. What about a follow-up question for this one? What could they ask to really challenge us?
They might ask, how do you see technology changing the way we make prosthetics and orthotics? And how are you preparing for those changes?
Wow, that's a big picture question.
It is. This is your chance to shine as a forward-thinking candidate. Discuss things like 3D printing, robotics, maybe even bioprinting. How do you see these impacting the field in the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so how would you stay ahead of the curve?
Maybe mention specific courses you'd like to take or conferences you want to attend.
Right.
To stay informed about the newest stuff.
That makes sense. This has been so helpful. I feel like I'm finally starting to get what they're really looking for in a prosthetist-orthotist.
It's about showing your passion, your skills, and your commitment to providing the best care for your patients.
Right. And don't forget, RoleCatcher can be a huge help in tailoring your answers to specific job postings.
Oh, yeah. Its AI-powered feedback can really help you refine your answers and make sure you're hitting those key points.
I love that. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with part 2,
Sounds good.
where we'll continue our deep dive into even more interview questions and prep strategies.
See you soon.
All right, see you again.
We're back and ready for more interview questions. Let's jump right in.
I'm ready. What's next?
Okay, how about this one? How do you approach educating patients and their families about their prosthetic or orthotic devices?
Communication is key, right?
It is. It's all about communication and empathy. You're not just giving them the device, you're guiding them through a whole learning process.
So how do we show we can explain those complex things in a way that's easy to understand?
Think about how you adjust to different learning styles. Do you use visuals, demonstrations, written materials?
That's a good point.
Do you check to make sure they understand and encourage questions? It's all part of effective patient education.
What if they ask us about dealing with, more challenging situations?
Oh, they might. Something like, how do you handle it when a patient or a family member just doesn't want to learn about their device?
Or if they're having a hard time adjusting?
Right, exactly.
That's a tough one.
It is, but it happens. It's about being patient, being understanding, and finding creative solutions. You could talk about active listening, motivational interviewing, or even bringing in other members of the healthcare team, like a counselor.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
It's all about finding what works for that specific patient.
Okay, I like that. What about this question? How do you stay informed about the latest research and advancements?
They want to know you're dedicated to keeping up with your field.
It does seem like this field is constantly changing.
It is. Don't just say you read journals, though.
Right.
Be specific. Tell them which journals, which conferences you attend, which organizations you belong to, online communities even.
Like, give a concrete example.
Yeah, share something you learned recently and how it changed your approach.
Maybe a new prosthetic technology you're excited about.
Exactly. Show them your passion.
Okay, next question. Can you describe a time when you had to collaborate with other healthcare professionals to provide care? Teamwork's got to be huge in this job, right?
Oh, it is. Prosthetics and orthotics often involve a whole team of specialists. The interviewer wants to know you can work well with others.
So how do we show off those teamwork skills?
Think about a specific case where you worked with a doctor, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist, maybe others. Explain everyone's roles, the challenges you face together, and how good communication got you a good result for the patient.
And we can talk about what we specifically brought to the team, right?
Absolutely. Did you help everyone communicate better? Did you have an insight that helped solve a problem? Highlight those moments.
Okay, what if they ask about conflict within the team?
Oh, good one. They might say, have you ever disagreed with a colleague while working on a case? How did you handle it?
That could be tricky.
It can be. Focus on how you communicated and how you stayed focused on the patient. Explain that you listened to their perspective, tried to find common ground, and stayed professional.
You could even mention involving a supervisor if needed.
Exactly, to help resolve things.
All right, next question, and this one's always a little tough. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
It's a classic, but it's a chance to show you're self-aware. When you talk about strengths, pick qualities that matter for the job.
So, technical skills, problem solving, communication, empathy.
Yeah, those are great. Give specific examples. Now, for weaknesses, pick something you're genuinely trying to improve.
I've heard it's good to frame it as an area for growth.
Perfect. Maybe you're working on time management or you get a little nervous in big groups, but you're taking a public speaking class.
So don't just say what it is, explain what you're doing to get better.
Exactly. They might even ask for an example of a time your weakness impacted your work. Be ready to explain how you handled that.
Okay, good advice. Next question. Why are you interested in working at our clinic hospital company?
Time to show you've done your homework. Research them.
Right.
Look at their mission, their values, their patients, their specialties, anything special they do. Find what connects with you and tell them why that makes you want to be on their team.
So it's not just about wanting any job in the field.
No, it's about being genuinely interested in them. Maybe they specialize in pediatrics and you love working with kids, or they do cutting-edge research and you're all about innovation.
And they might ask a follow-up, right?
Oh, they probably will. Maybe, what do you know about our approach to patient care or our philosophy of practice, show them you've done your research.
So it's about knowing what makes them unique.
Exactly.
Okay, last one for this section. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This one always gets me thinking about the future.
And that's good. It's a chance for you to show them your goals and that you're thinking ahead.
Do you want to specialize? Be a leader? Teach or do research?
It's all on the table. Paint a picture of what you want your future to look like.
But it's okay if it's not set in stone.
Right. Of course. The point is to show them you're thinking about your career and that you want to keep learning and growing. Maybe mention specific skills you're working on or certifications you want.
What kind of follow-up could they ask about this?
Oh, maybe something like, how will you stay up to date with new developments over the next 5 years?
They want to know if we're really committed.
Right. This is where you highlight those lifelong learning strategies, conferences, courses, organizations, journals, even research.
Okay, this has been so helpful. I'm feeling so much more prepared now.
Good. And remember, RoleCatcher can be a great help with this too. It can actually help you identify those learning opportunities based on your goals and what's in demand in the job market.
That's incredible. Okay, we're back for the final part of our Prosthetist-Orthotist interview prep deep dive.
Time for those tricky behavioral questions.
Oh, yeah, those are the ones that always trip me up.
They're designed to see how you've handled things in the past, so they can get a sense of how you might perform in the future.
I get it. But how do we prepare for those?
Well, let's start with a common one, conflict resolution.
Okay.
They might ask something like, tell me about a time you had a difficult patient or family member, and how did you handle it?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Healthcare can be really emotional, right? Not everyone's always happy with everything.
It's true, and that's exactly what they want to see, how you deal with those tough situations.
So what should we do?
Pick a time when you had a genuinely tough situation. Walk them through how you approached it, how you stayed professional.
So explain how we listened to their concerns, trying to understand where they were coming from, and communicated clearly.
Exactly, and emphasize that you kept your cool even when things were tense.
I like it. Stay calm. Focus on finding solutions.
Right. They want to know you can handle tough conversations with grace and keep the patient's best interests in mind.
Okay, what other kinds of behavioral questions might they ask?
Well, they might ask about a time you went above and beyond for a patient.
Oh, I like that one.
It's a chance to show you're truly dedicated.
It is. What kind of example should we use?
Think of a time when you did something extra, something that wasn't required but you knew was important. Maybe you helped them with something outside of your typical duties, or connected them with a support group, or just spent a little extra time listening to their concerns.
It's about those small things that make a difference, right?
Exactly. And describe the impact it had. Did it make their day better? Help them feel more hopeful? Those details bring your story to life.
Okay. What about questions that really test our decision-making skills?
Yes. They might ask you to describe a time you had to make a difficult decision at work. How did you approach it?
Oh, that's a tough one. I bet prosthetists-orthotists have to make a lot of difficult decisions.
They do. Choose a situation where you had to really weigh different factors, think about ethics, or maybe make a call with limited information. It could be a complex patient case, a conflict between treatments, or a time you had to advocate for your patient.
So it's not enough to just say what we decided. We need to explain how we got there.
Yes. Walk them through your thought process. Did you consult with colleagues? Did you do some research? Did you carefully consider all the possible outcomes? They want to see a structured approach.
So it's about showing that we don't just make random decisions. We think things through.
Exactly. And remember to explain how you communicated your decision to everyone involved, especially the patient and their family.
That makes sense. Clear communication is so important.
It is. Now, here's one that can feel a bit scary, but it's actually a great chance to show self-awareness. Tell me about a time you made a mistake at work. What did you learn?
Ooh, nobody likes to talk about their mistakes.
I know, but everyone makes them.
True.
And interviewers want to see how you handle them.
Yep.
So choose a real mistake, one that had consequences,
Right.
but focus on what you learned from it.
So explain how we identified the problem, took responsibility, and made changes to prevent it from happening again.
Exactly. Did it change how you approach certain tasks? Did you learn new skills? Did it remind you of important values? Those insights are what they're looking for.
Okay, those are some really helpful tips. Any final words of wisdom as we wrap up our deep dive?
Remember, practice makes perfect. Think about your experiences and find good examples that show off your skills.
Right.
Practice telling those stories. Maybe use the STAR method. That's situation, task, action, result.
I've heard of that.
It'll help you be clear and concise.
And we can use RoleCatcher's AI to practice answering these questions too, right?
Yes. RoleCatcher can even come up with sample questions based on the specific job you want.
That's amazing. And then the AI gives us feedback to help us improve.
Exactly. And remember, confidence is key. You've chosen a fantastic career path, and you have so much to offer.
I agree. This has been so helpful. I'm feeling a lot more confident about those interview questions now.
That's great to hear. Good luck out there. And remember, you've got this.
Thanks for joining us for this Prosthetist-Orthotist interview deep dive. We're here to support you every step of the way.